Hi, thanks for joining us. My name is David 51 Norman, and I'm a tour director, tour manager, production manager, and tour accountant. And I've been on the road for over 35 years. And I've worked with such amazing artists as Prince, Earth, Wind & Fire, Green Day, John Legend, Alicia Keys, Robert Plant, and Alison Krauss, just to name a few. And my amazing co-host today is the lovely Miss Maryjo Jo Kaczka, who we affectionately call MJ. MJ, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Maryjo Jo Kaczka. I've been a tour manager and tour accountant for 25 years, and I've worked with artists such as Tool, Florence and the Machine, King Crimson, Bauhaus, and all of their spinoffs, and Kraftwerk, just to name a few. 51, let's start off with some stories. Do you have any stories to tell us about the day in the life of a tour manager?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite stories that several years ago, I was out as tour director on a tour, and it's a huge tour over in Europe. And the artist, this is a little bit difficult. And we just finished doing like 8 or 9 shows in a row, and we were heading into Germany. And I get a call from the artist saying, "Hey, I don't want to play Germany." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, we've got like 4 or 5 sold out shows in Germany. What do you mean you don't want to play?" And he said, "I want to play in London and just have everyone turn around and come back. We're going to play in London." And I said, "Well, we can't just turn around." He says, "I don't want to play tomorrow night." And I said, "Well, we can't do it." And he says, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Well, I was born outside of London, and England is an island. So we can't just physically turn around 14 to 16 vehicles and just drive back to England. There's going to be ferry crossings involved. There's going to be visas involved. There's going to be all of these ancillary things that are going to be involved." So he said, "Well, just get back as quick as you can." So I had an amazing production coordinator, and we spent the rest of our time on the bus going into Germany, calling our travel agent, booking hotels. Some people, I had to do flights to get back to London in time for load in. And we also kind of coordinated all the vehicles and the ferry crossing. So that's my quick story. So MJ, tell us one of your stories, because I know this is going to be a funny one. I'm looking forward to it.
This is a little more condensed than yours, but it is one of those things that happens. I was with an artist, and we were at the Rivoli Ballroom in South London, and we were going live on the BBC, and I'm talking live, like no delay, live. And just 30 seconds before the band was to take the stage, we're all at the side of the stage. We're like, "Where's the drummer?" And we hear this banging, and the drummer was stuck downstairs in a bathroom because this place is old. And he was literally like, the door shut behind him and would not open. So had to go downstairs, kick the door in. I think we kicked it off its hinges, and the band was on stage with 5 seconds to spare.
I love that. You know, we have these amazing stories of life on tour, and but they encompass such a large scope of work that we do that people really don't understand. So today we're going to talk about how tour managers are project managers. Can you tell us why tour managers are project managers?
Yeah, so project management processes, as defined by the Project Management Institute, fall into 5 phases: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing the project. So project management and the phases of a project are terms that have traditionally been used more in corporate settings for people that are getting their PMP certification. But tour managers perform this exact process. And once we're in the execution phase, that is on tour, when the tour's on the road, we're doing it round the clock in different cities and often different continents every single day. So we're project managers. So 51, let's talk about initiation and planning. What goes into it from the time that you get hired through getting everything ready to get on the road?
Well, my job starts with getting the deal sheet from the agent and starting to put together those elements, and having that first conversation with the artist and management, also business management. What is it that everyone wants to achieve? What is the end goal? Is it also to be, are we going to do, is this tour going to be profitable? That's going to be the very, very first question, the very first answer we have to have. So we have to have that initial conversation with the artist. What is their vision? Is it to make lots of money? Is it to have an amazing show? Is it to have all of the above? And management and business management also have to be involved with that process of putting together all of these elements. What is going to be the size and scope of the tour? How many people are we going to have as far as staffing? It's going to involve moving all of that staffing. So that's going to include salaries, payroll, hotels, flights, per diems, movement from city to city, meet and greets, which now we're pre-COVID, post-COVID, not sure what that's going to be. And then we're going to have to move into budgeting and planning, because all of those elements are going to be put together to make this tour, our project, successful. So oftentimes, if you're pulling double duty as a tour manager and production manager, be required to also reach out to different vendors to get quotes and different things like that to put together these elements of a budget. So I want to move on. So once we pull it all together and get it on the road, MJ, what is your preferred approach to managing all of these moving parts?
You don't want to micromanage. You want each team in the production, like, you have different teams in your production. So you have, say lighting or audio, or your backstage team, your backline. You want each team in the production to have a clear vision of what the big picture is once you know what it is, and to be able to work independently as part of that picture to execute and find solutions every day. As the tour manager, you're monitoring everything and making changes as needed or as they come down from management or from the artist. But the name of the game is flexibility. And in the business world, this is referred to as agile project management. So, your teams are all working on small parts of the project, but it's a collaborative effort and something we're doing round the clock every day to make the big picture happen. But your production manager is your lead for all things technical. So how important is it for the tour manager and production manager to work in hand, do you think, 5-1?
I find, because I do both elements, tour managing and production manager, it's very, very, very important and very, very conducive to keeping the morale very high on the tour. Because if you have a tour that's all over the place, it's also going to affect morale. And you don't want to have all those going on, because if you have that one person who festers, it just keeps growing and growing. Yeah. But also a tour manager and production manager working hand in hand, they're going to have to be the main principles of keeping the budget in place that you had put in from the very outset. And above all is to keep the artist happy, from a financial standpoint. And overall, the bigger picture is having an amazing show that when the audience is leaving, that everyone's happy, the artist is happy, your band and crew are happy, and then moving on to those other elements of the tour. So MJ, what's the first thing you focus on once we have a tour wrap?
So, assuming that, like you said, we've been on the road, we've done a good job of project management, everybody's happy, everything's wrapped up nice. The first thing I look at after is I focus on wrapping up all the post-tour accounting and looking at the budget to actual costs, because those numbers can bring up questions like, why did we do things a certain way? Or, why did we not do things a certain way that we can apply to the next leg? So do you use that type of information, or what do you do?
I do. I start looking at, is the production going to be the same size when we're moving forward for the next tour? Are we going to be scaling down? Are we going to be scaling up? Because some tours, when you put out, sometimes they're promotional tours. So you're scaled down, you're having smaller crew, smaller band. And then when you're scaling up for the longer run, but the production size, are we going to be the same size and scope? Will the staff changes need to be made from this first leg? Or are people going to be jumping onto other tours? Or are we going to need to bring in new personalities into the tour? And then having another conversation with artists, business managers, and management at the end to see if we achieved all the goals that we wanted to achieve from the outset. And then just having everything in place in preparation for the next leg of the tour.
Yeah. I
And
think it's interesting because like in business, people talk about scaling is going up, but we scale up and down all the
mhm,
time, like very agile,
mhm,
moving into the next leg. Um, and and that brings us right back full circle to initiation because we have now concurrently wrapped a tour and initiated the next stage of the tour.
mhm,
So, or the next leg.
yep,
So, and that brings us to the end of our little talk here about why tour managers are project managers. Um, we would like to thank NAM, Jen Kellogg, and Showmakers for letting us be part of this great event. If you enjoyed this talk and want to connect with 51 or myself, you can find us on Instagram at David51 or MISSMJK. That's Miss MJK. And enjoy the rest of your day and be sure to check out the other great panelists and topics.